Ramadan, in the life of the Prophet Muhammad, was never a season of indulgence. It was a month in which hunger softened the heart, discipline refined the soul, and the presence of Allah overshadowed every other concern. While we as the crescent approaches instinctively begin to plan menus and draw up guest lists, he entered Ramadan with a very different preoccupation. How can the heart draw nearer to its Lord? How can the Quran carve its meanings into character? How can a believer stand before Allah lighter in body but heavier in good deeds? His suhur was simple yet sacred. He urged his ummah to partake in that pre-dawn meal, calling it a source of barakah, and he would delay it until the final moments before Fajr, squeezing out the last drops of blessing from the night. His iftar, too, was minimal, breaking his fast without delay at sunset, usually with dates and water, not a banquet, and then moving swiftly to prayer rather than lingering over elaborate dishes. Compare that to our tables now. Crowded plates, multiple courses, desserts waiting in the fridge, and a household so exhausted from preparation that the night's worship becomes an afterthought rather than the central event. In truth, our kitchens have become louder than our duar, and our plates heavier than our sojda, even though the prophetic Ramadan was defined by restraint, not by variety. Imagine then a deliberate rebellion against this culture of excess. A one-meal policy each evening. One main dish instead of an entire spread. Freeing the one who cooks to stand with the one who prays. And turning the dining table from a battlefield of options into a reminder that this month came to starve the ego, not to entertain it. Yet the real axis of the Prophet's Ramadan was not food at all. It was the Quran and what it did to him. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma describes him as the most generous of people throughout the year. But when Ramadan arrived and Jibril alayhi salam visited him nightly to review the Quran, his generosity surged like a powerful wind that brings rain and goodness to everything in its path. That image alone tells you something profound. The Quran did not just pass through his lips, it moved through his heart and then flowed outward as mercy, charity, patience, and beauty of character. Each nightly revision with Jibril was not a mere academic recitation, it was an immersion that reshaped him, so that his inner state in Ramadan was recognizably different from his state outside of it. Even though he was already the best of creation, in the final year of his life, he reviewed the Quran twice in Ramadan, as if to seal its meanings into his ummah and to signal that his mission on earth was nearing completion. And still that intensified engagement translated into even greater acts of giving and kindness. Now pause and contrast this with our own patterns. Many of us race through a juz each night, eyes skimming lines while the heart remains preoccupied, almost counting pages like a checklist we are desperate to tick off. We speak of finishing the Quran in Ramadan as though it were a task to be cleared out of the way, rather than letting the Quran finish the arrogance in us, the greed in us, the harshness in us. The Prophet's recitation left fingerprints all over his character. Can our colleagues, our families, and even non-Muslim friends say the same about us, that this month we have become more gentle, more composed, more generous, more pleasant than a cool breeze on a scorching day? Or would they admit, if we dared to ask, that Ramadan seems to make us shorter-tempered, irritable, and quick to snap, hiding behind the excuse, "I'm fasting," as though hunger were a license to abandon good manners? The Quran in Ramadan was meant to be a mirror, not a melody. The Prophet warned about people who recite, yet the words never pass beyond their throats. Voices beautified, tajweed perfected, but hearts untouched and behavior unchanged. This month demands a harder question than how many pages have I read. It asks, what has even one page changed in me? Does my recitation make me more truthful when no one is watching? More forgiving when I have the power to hold a grudge? More patient with those who test my limits at home or at work? If the Quran does not soften your speech with your parents, does not make you more dependable with your promises, does not push you to give when the nafs wants to cling, then you are experiencing only the echo of revelation, not its impact. It is not enough then to organize Quran schedules and groups while ignoring the moral transformation that the Quran came to produce. An honest experiment for this Ramadan could be to choose one surah or even one passage and allow it to become a project for your character. Let the verses about spending detach you from your obsession with money. Let the verses about the hereafter puncture your arrogance. Let the verses about mercy soften the way you look at your spouse, your children, your neighbors. The Quran accompanied the Prophet into every scene of his life, and everyone around him felt the difference. Our tragedy is that many of us keep it confined to our tongues and shelves, leaving our daily interactions largely untransformed. Ramadan in the prophetic model also shattered the myth that fasting is a month of lethargy and suspended ambition. Major turning points like Badr and the conquest of Mecca occurred in this blessed month, proving that spiritual focus and worldly effort are not enemies, but allies when directed to please Allah. The companions did not treat daytime fasting as an excuse to withdraw from life. They pushed themselves in worship while remaining active in service, in struggle, and in building the community. Even today, you can see traces of that legacy in believers who train their bodies to function under hunger, still working, exercising, creating, studying, then returning at night for Tarawih, Quran, and long moments of dua, discovering that the true shackles were not the fast itself, but the excuses we tie around our own ankles. The Prophet will come on the day of judgment, complaining that some of his people abandoned the Quran. And abandonment includes treating its guidance as irrelevant to how we work, plan, and strive in Ramadan. Our challenge is to reclaim this month as a time when we do not run away from responsibility, but rather perform it with a more purified intention, powered by a lean body and a vigilant heart. Instead of saying, "I cannot function, I'm fasting," we might begin to say, "I will function better, because I am fasting for Allah, and He is the one sustaining me." The third pillar of his Ramadan experience was seclusion. Moments deliberately carved out from the noise of people and the constant pull of distraction. For 9 Ramadans in Medina, he lived this rhythm, and in 8 of them he spent the last 10 nights in itikaf in the masjid, withdrawing from social obligations to immerse himself in worship, until in the final year of his life, he extended that retreat to 20 nights in pursuit of Laylatul Qadr. His wives, may Allah be pleased with them, followed his example and also practiced itikaf, demonstrating that this pattern of withdrawal was a family culture, not a solitary eccentricity reserved only for him. Today, though, we often imagine Ramadan primarily as a social season. Invitations, community iftars, late-night gatherings, visits to trendy restaurants, and a constant flow of messages arranging where to eat next. The result is that we are surrounded by people, but rarely alone with Allah. Our memories of the month become albums of food, photos, and group chats, rather than recollections of nights spent weeping in secret, or verses that hit us so deeply we had to pause our recitation and sit in silence. The modern world has compounded this problem by giving us screens that fill every spare moment, waiting rooms, queues, car rides, even the few quiet minutes before Iqama, all instantly occupied by scrolling, notifications, and endless stimulation. We are never truly alone anymore, even in an empty room, because the entire planet now fits in the palm of our hand. To recover the Prophet's Ramadan, we must relearn the art of being alone with Allah without feeling restless or afraid. A partial itikaf is within reach, even for those who cannot live in the mosque for 10 nights. Uninstall social media for the last 10 days. Log out of the applications that constantly tug at you, and let the world knock by call or simple message only when absolutely necessary. Imagine walking into the masjid with no phone in your pocket, sitting in a corner with just a mushaf and a prayer mat, and watching how your mind initially squirms for stimulation, before slowly settling into a deeper stillness. In that quiet, dua becomes more honest. Because there is no audience to impress, your tears are no longer shaped by who might be watching, but by the weight of your own sins and the vastness of Allah's mercy. Even if you cannot sleep in the masjid, you can create a small sanctuary at home, a corner of your room known only to you and your Lord, where you stand at night when the house is sleeping, reciting softly enough that only you can hear, making sajda long enough that your thoughts finally stop running and your heart begins to speak. The Prophet prayed Qiyam mostly alone. Meeting the congregation at night was the exception, not the norm. And that privacy allowed his worship to reach an intimacy we are often deprived of because we rely on the Imam's voice instead of cultivating our own conversation with Allah. Try, at least once this Ramadan, to stand for a portion of the night in the dark of your own home. Just you, your brokenness, and Al-Hudud who sees you. You may hear your own sobbing for the first time in years and realize how much you have been starving your soul while obsessing over feeding your body. If we were to distill all of this into a fresh perspective, the Ramadan of the Prophet offers us 3 radical shifts in how we approach this month. First, fasting must reclaim its purpose from feasting. By consciously simplifying our meals, we reopen space for worship, reflection, and genuine family connection that is not centered on consumption. Second, the Quran must be allowed to step off the page and onto our behavior, so that those who see us in Ramadan feel the breeze of our transformed character long before they hear the sound of our recitation. Third, seclusion must be rehabilitated as a spiritual necessity, not an optional luxury, so that every believer carves out private, uninterrupted time with Allah, protecting it from the constant invasion of screens, noise, and social expectations. Picture a Ramadan where your home is quieter at iftar, your heart softer with the Quran, your nights more hidden and sincere, and your presence at work or among non-Muslims a silent dower, because they simply notice that you carry yourself with unusual calmness, generosity, and grace in this month. That is the month the Prophet lived, a time when hunger was a tool, the Quran was a sculptor, and solitude was a bridge to the Lord of the worlds. The question that remains is not whether we can recite more or host more, but whether we are brave enough to dismantle the habits that turned Ramadan into a festival of distractions and rebuild it as a workshop for the heart, one where fasting, the Quran, and seclusion work together to remake who we are long after the crescent of Shawwal appears.